Hey, hey, hey. That's right. Welcome to the Abby Award winning Vital Show. I am your host, Lady Wu. The virtual crew is in the virtual studio, and our virtual special guest, Senator Doug Jones, is already with us. I'm so excited about tonight's show. So, welcome everyone. We are here. We are here. We are here. If you're riding by, be sure to stop and get your snow cones. The last thing that T. Carson told me that he wanted, he's like, "Well, when I get out of here, I want a snow cone." I was like, "A snow cone? You want me to bring it to you?" He was like, "No, I want to get it when I get out." And we know that T got out to the other side, and this is our way, just one way that we're gonna honor him by 205 Ice is outside serving up snow cones. That's what he asked for. So I was like, the least I can do is give him to pull up. So y'all pull up too and show T Carson some love. Just show him some love and give him what he asked for. That's the last thing he asked me for, a snow cone. So that's what happened. His mom even had snow cones at the memorial service yesterday. So we're just doing as we were asked. That's what we do. We show love, and that's how you all can as well. Pull up, pull up, pull up. We're right here on Inslee Avenue. If you don't know, WATV 3025 Inslee Avenue, and the snow cone truck is right outside. But right here in studio, we're going to get straight to the business tonight. A very important, vital show. All of them are important, but this one is very important. We have Senator Doug Jones with us, and I'm so happy that our booking agent was able to get him in and get him vitalized. So, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. It's great to be with you tonight.
Yes. So I know you've been busy with the DNC and the campaign and just everything that's going on right now. You've been super busy, but I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday evening to chat with us. This is a different time for a lot of people, but this is our work time.
It's
So,
my pleasure.
welcome.
I'm glad to be
Thank
here.
you.
I just appreciate you asking me. I enjoy coming on these shows, and I really appreciate the opportunity on a Sunday evening.
Yes. Yes, it's so refreshing to have you in live. This is live. So nowadays this is considered live. You're here with us in the virtual studio
Right.
alongside my favorite guy, Ready Eddie. Ready Eddie is always ready. And you guys have met. So let's get straight in. You are a homeboy. You're from Fairfield, Alabama.
Yeah,
Went to Fairfield High School.
that's right. Just right next door there to Inslee Avenue. Been up and down Inslee Avenue a whole bunch in my life. Yep. Grew up, in Fairfield. I stayed there, most all of my, through we lived in Glen Oaks there in Fairfield
Okay.
until after I left, graduated from law school and moved to Washington, D.C., where I was a Senate staffer for a year. So, I
Okay.
lived there for 25 years, I guess.
Wow. Okay. So you are truly, I guess they say, a Fairfieldian.
Absolutely. That
Gotcha.
the west side of town has always been the spot in my heart.
The west side is always the best side. So, we have to make those connections to make people realize that those who represent us are from where we're from. They're not people that just fly in from somewhere else and decide, hey, I'm going to say I'm from here and represent them. You actually have to have those roots in the area. So that's great to know. Tell us a little bit about you, just you as Doug Jones, before senator, before prosecutor. Who are you?
Just a boy from Fairfield. That's the bottom line. Grew up the shadow of the steel mills. My dad worked out there either for U.S. Steel or another company that ran the pipe mill.
Mine
Stayed
too.
out there for about 60 years. He retired when he was 80 years old, about 10
Wow.
years
Wow.
ago. He passed in December. But, I stayed there all my life, grew up in the shadow of the steel mills and, hung out down on, played baseball and football and everything else down that way. Just went to University of Alabama and then to
Okay.
Cumberland Law School and spent a year in Washington, D.C. That's really where I started catching the bug for public service. Working with the late Senator Howell Heflin on the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee in 1979 and 1980. Came back, assistant prosecutor, practiced law here in Birmingham, raised a family, got 3 amazing kids and 2 amazing granddaughters.
Awesome. So a family man. Look at it. Just a all around man. Just a guy that decided to take a route to represent others, and it's so important that people get to know the person before they know. Oh, well, he stands for this. He believe this is who he is at the core. So that's who you are.
Well,
That's who
I
you are.
appreciate that. No, look, I have I've been in Alabama all my life, unlike my opponent who just moved to Alabama to run for the Senate. I mean,
Mm,
I grew up in the public schools of Alabama. My kids went to public schools in Alabama. You know, roots are here, hearts here, Alabama values are here. You know, and I think that U.S. Senate stint as a staffer when I was just 25 years old, and then as a as an assistant U.S. attorney. A lot of people know about my role as U.S. attorney about 20 years ago when I prosecuted the church bombing cases, but it was those early
right.
years, in the Senate as just a young staffer, wide-eyed up in Washington, D.C., watching Senator Heflin work, and then, working, coming back in public service. You just get this sense that, you can do good things in public service,
Yeah,
whether it's in the Justice
absolutely.
Department or whether it's in elected office. And, the time was right for me in 2017 to make a move to try to see if we could take it to another level. And I was really, really fortunate with a lot of the people out there that's listening to this show right now, a lot of their
Mhm.
support made it to the U.S. Senate.
Absolutely. And we're so glad that you did. We want you to stay there. So it's really important that we do what's necessary to keep you there. So you mentioned the opponent and the competition in this race that's coming up. And we know that that base is they're gonna get out.
Right.
Um, I want you to speak directly to your base, to our listening audience first, just about the importance of the election, and then we're going to get into some more bullet points that we have to touch on about you, but more importantly about the big vote.
Yeah. Look, I think that this is every vote that we take is an important election. The next election is always the most important because it is the next one. I got to tell you, though, I really think that America's at a crossroads, and this is at the most election, not it's in the country's history in my lifetime because of where we are and what we're doing. But I also think it says a lot about Alabama. I think my election in 2017 spoke to volumes of people across this country and even across the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I even had the president of Afghanistan tell me that they followed my election in 2017. It was just amazing.
Mm,
But, Alabama's got to keep that best foot forward. We got to keep going forward. We got to be doing the things for folks. So it is incredibly important. No one should think that their vote doesn't count because every vote counts. We had 1.3 million people voting in my race in 2017, and I won by
right.
only 3,000 votes. So every vote counts, and every vote's important. As we've seen, elections have consequences. You see what's
Right.
going on around this country. You see what we can do and what we should be doing. So elections have consequences. We've really got to get everybody energized to go make a statement for Alabama.
Absolutely. So you heard it from Senator Doug Jones, who's already there, who already knows the importance of each vote counting, that your vote counts in every election. And this one is important, just as the rest of them are, but we really need you to show up and do what's right with this particular election. So let's talk about your history as far as being in Washington and some of the things that you have fought for and stood for, and just what is your platform. So we know about you getting in front of issues that had been closed. Speaking of the 16th Street bombing, that case was, you reopened it.
Yeah, that case was, by the time we got the convictions, that case was 37, 38 years old.
Yeah,
No one thought we could do it, but justice delayed doesn't have to be justice denied, and
I know that's
and
right.
we were dogged about it, and those families deserved it. Birmingham deserved it. Alabama deserved to have that justice. And I,
Mm.
I like to think I took that same determination with me to Washington. We've been a very, I think, outspoken. We've been a loud voice for, I think, folks that haven't had a voice in Washington in a long time, except through maybe, with Congresswoman Sewell. But she,
Right.
in the House, one of seven, one of 435. But I've had a voice for folks in the last 2.5 years that hadn't had a voice in the Senate in a long, long time. And it lets us do things. For instance, Kamala Harris, who's going to be, I believe, the
Mhm.
next vice president of the United States, a
Yes,
great
sir.
friend of mine. She and I worked very hard to get additional funding for HBCUs. When we did that in 2018, it was the first time HBCUs had gotten additional funding in about 6 or 7 years. Now
Right.
we've got some permanent funding for the HBCUs. That was a big deal. That was
Absolutely.
incredibly important. And let me tell you, no one should underestimate the importance of having an HBCU graduate on the ticket to be vice president of the United States.
I
First
know
time in
that's right.
history. She's blazing a lot of trails, but that is an incredibly important thing for the kids that are in school, that are looking to go to those schools, and for the graduates that are out there. And I couldn't be
Absolutely.
happier for her and for the HBCU community and for the country for that matter. So we've been doing a lot of that work. We've been working a
Okay.
lot on healthcare issues. Those are the main things that Alabamians need most. Healthcare, not just in this pandemic, but trying to expand
Period.
Medicaid,
Right.
getting pre-existing conditions. Those are the things that we've been working on, what I call the kitchen table issues,
Yes.
bringing jobs and the economy here.
I everything that you just said, I just played the applause, but I actually applaud those. I am the graduate of an HBCU. I attended two HBCUs, so I know the support that we need, and I know what those type legislative pieces do for us. So I really appreciate those. And like you said, having her on the ticket means a lot. And we're going to get more into that part of your opinion stuff shortly, just about where we are. But you talk about healthcare and healthcare in Alabama and the expansion of Medicaid or Medicare. Why is that such a struggle? Why is that such a thing, and why is it so bad in Alabama? Why are we so far behind with healthcare for all?
Well, Alabama just hadn't invested in people's health care like a lot of states did. When the Affordable Care Act was passed years ago, the federal government gave the states an opportunity to expand Medicaid because, it costs the states money. Medicaid costs the states money too. Right now,
Yeah.
for every dollar the states have to pay 10 cents, federal government picks up 90 cents. But when the Affordable Care Act was passed, in order to expand Medicaid, to get more people on the rolls and eligible for good health care, they said,
Mhm.
you know what, we'll give 100% reimbursement to the state. 100% won't cost you anything for 3 years. Then we'll let you only go to 5% for a couple of years. Then go to 10%. Give you time to invest that money. Get the jobs coming in. I mean,
Mhm.
that would have been billions of dollars. But you know what? Alabama decided they wouldn't do it. They didn't do it purely because of political reasons. Were
Yeah.
there a cost concern? Yeah. But all the economists in the country, including the head of the retirement systems in Alabama, said, no, this is going to bring in billions of dollars to Alabama that we can invest in these communities, keep our
Right.
rural hospitals open. But because the Affordable Care Act was called Obamacare, people in
Mhm.
Montgomery said, no, 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 we don't want to have anything to do with that. And that's the reason why we didn't do it. And the thing about
Wow.
Medicaid expansion that people don't fully appreciate, they think it's just for, poor people that aren't working or don't want to work. That's just not true at all. Kids, majority of people on Medicaid are children in this state.
Right.
But also, if we'd expanded Medicaid, there were 326,000 people in Alabama before the pandemic that would
Mhm.
have been eligible. And here's where the thing about those folks, they make a little bit too much money. They're all working folks. They're all
Right.
out there
Right.
working. They
Absolutely.
make they make just too much money to be eligible for Medicaid under Alabama's rule, but they don't make enough money to buy good health insurance. Or they don't have an employer sponsored health care. So they're
That's
falling in
it.
that gap. It's just
That's it.
it's ridiculous. We invest millions of dollars in tax rebates and incentives to bring business into Alabama, and I have no objection to that. But doggone it, we need to invest in people's health. It would lift all boats. Healthcare outcomes would be so much better in the state.
Yes. Eddie, do you have something on that? I know we talk about Medicaid a lot and just healthcare overall. We're two mental health professionals, and talking about Alabama and healthcare, period. Mental health is what means a lot to us, but overall health as well. But Eddie, what you got? I know you got something.
Is as a mental health provider that works in the community with Medicaid, it's I've sat in rooms where uh, I was presented with legislation that was up in the air about how to stop funding paying for children in the juvenile detention center because they want to put the
Right.
responsibility on the localities instead of
Right.
the state, and just the difficulty. Well, more so I guess the encouragement that a lot of legislators have had to try to fight the system of Medicaid, and just seeing all of the barriers that have been put up against it. So, when I hear the dialogue about Alabama refusing to accept uh, the Medicaid expansion because it was Obamacare's name on it, it makes me have to assess where I'm living sometimes, you know?
Exactly.
Well, Eddie, you make a great point. It was absolutely ridiculous. They're putting politics in front of ahead of people's lives. And you're talking about mental health and the things with Medicaid that in Birmingham, we can see some of that. But if we, everywhere I've traveled in Alabama, when I do town halls and even these tele-town halls I'm doing now, people are
Mhm.
always, no matter where it is in the state, always are concerned about mental health. It's a
Yeah.
huge, huge issue in our state. And if we could expand Medicaid, we would have those mental health services all over the state. We would have better facilities, better opportunities, even if it's sometime the virtual, the telemedicine is also good for mental health issues too. So it's just one of those things. I'm going to continue to work on it. I can't make any promises on that because I get such pushback from Republicans in Washington and Republicans down in Montgomery, but we're going to keep trying.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. And then our part in that, being sure to have representation that gets us and that hears that, outside of the political party, these are the issues that we have. And I know, like a lot of our clients, we don't have a checkbox that says, "Are you Democrat or Republican?"
Right.
But it speaks to the needs of the people. So I really, I'm floored
Well,
as well, Eddie, that is that much pushback about things that people need.
you know, none of the pre-existing conditions I know only afflict Republicans or Democrats. None of
Right.
the mental health issues afflict just Republicans or Democrats. The COVID-19 virus that's running through the state and the country right now, it doesn't see R's and D's. I don't understand why folks continue to play politics with our health care. The federal government can assist and help. We want to do that. And again, it's not just about health. We know that better health care will lift the health of folks. But when they do that, you bring in billions of dollars and people are more productive. It
Mhm.
just doesn't make economic sense as well as healthcare sense to not try to do something to help folks.
Let's look at the the war on mail-in voting. So this came out of nowhere as well. I didn't think that this would be the attack that would be made, that it would be this big attack on mailing I mean, people have been doing absentee voting forever, but now it's a big deal. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that this is an effort by the administration to sabotage the Postal Service. They've tried
Mhm.
it, and you go back, and this new Postmaster General, the minute he hit the ground running, he was trying to sabotage the Postal Service and in anticipation of an election. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
folks, there are a lot of folks on the other side of the political aisle, for some reason, just don't want to make it easy for people to vote. They think if they make it easy for people to vote, then they lose elections. I don't know if
Mm.
that's true or not. I doubt it, but they've got to compete for everybody's votes, for goodness sake.
Right.
That's what
Right.
this country's all about. But we're having a lot of problems right now with the Postal Service. The delays are backing up. Now, this week, the Postmaster General said that he was going to pay overtime. He was going to do things to make sure that the mail-in ballots get priority. We'll see. I
We will
question that.
see.
But you know what? I'll tell you something I'm really disappointed in. We know the Postal Service needs money. They need
Mhm.
money going into the election. They need money going into the holiday season. And the
Right.
fact that all of our representatives, except Congresswoman Sewell, voted against trying to help the Postal Service through this issue where they've been hurt like everybody else in this pandemic. They're trying to stifle. Every other member of Congress, of the Alabama delegation, voted against that bill yesterday. And that was very disappointing because they're essentially saying, we don't care about your mail in votes.
Oh yeah, not at all. And we get it. We get that they don't.
Right.
Um, so even for, with the whole ballot, this could affect your election as well. If,
Sure.
when it's made difficult, we already know that, it's expected to be a bit strenuous on people to get in line and wait in line. It's going to be November. You don't know what the weather's going to look like. Give us some encouraging words on that. Then I have something else I want to talk to you about.
Well, here, let's talk about absentee ballots. We don't know where we're going to be in the virus on November the 3rd. So let's
Right.
talk about the absentee ballot process for just a minute. And I hope people will really listen and pay attention, because the problem sometimes, there was a news report today that just this year alone in all the primaries, over 500,000 absentee mail-in votes were not counted in these states because they didn't follow the rules precisely. So let's talk a minute about absentee ballots in Alabama and how you can do it. There's two ways, and to make sure your vote's counted. First of all, if you're going to just put it in the mail, you got to first either get an application for a ballot. Now you can call the courthouse, you can call the Secretary of State, You can go online and you request an application for a ballot. That'll come to you in the mail. You got to fill it out, but when you mail it back in, you've also got to mail in a copy of your photo ID. That has to
Gotcha.
go with it, or you'll never hear from them again and you won't get an absentee ballot. So
Gotcha.
do the application, mail in your photo ID. Then they'll mail you your ballot back. Okay.
Mhm.
You fill out your ballot, but when you put it in the envelope, you got to put your signature on it that it was you. You know, there's a couple of envelopes, there's a procedure to go through, but that your signature, just like, you know, when you go in to vote, you got to sign the
Right.
voter roll. That's what you're doing. But that's got to be witnessed by two people, your
Mhm.
signature has, or a notary public. So
Okay.
that's another hard step. Then you got to mail it in. And folks, if you're going to do that, start doing it early. Make sure
Start
there's
now.
no question. Now,
Yeah.
let me say this too. It's my understanding that in every county now, that beginning September 9th, in every county courthouse, you can actually go in person and vote absentee. You can go to the court. I did this once. I think it was in the runoff one time in 2017.
Mhm.
I went to the courthouse and cast an absentee ballot because I was not going to be in town on the day of the runoff. And so you go, you have your photo ID with you, and then they take care of any witnessing and whatever. And it's kind of like early voting, but it's technically absentee ballot voting. So if you're
Gotcha.
worried about the mail, if you're worried that it's not going to get there, and you're worried about going in person on November the 3rd, or there might be a hurricane coming through, go beginning September 9th, almost 2 months ahead of time. You can go in person and vote absentee at your county courthouse. And
Good.
I can't emphasize enough, you gotta follow, you gotta dot every I, cross every T, or they just won't count your vote.
Yeah, so basically every step that you just gave us, I really appreciate those because some of those steps I didn't know about and I thought that I had been doing some research. So that means that like right now will be the time for people to go ahead like today or tomorrow, first thing tomorrow, and make a decision on which way they want to vote
Right.
and what they need to do to make it possible. Because
That's
those
right.
are a lot of steps. Those are a lot of steps, but it does put you in a position to know that hey, I did my due diligence even in spite of any obstacles that may come up. I've already made preparations to vote in November.
That's right. And your vote will
Awesome.
count.
Absolutely, it will count. Ready? Ready, Eddie? You got anything? I want to make sure I'm bringing my guy in. He'll wait patiently, Senator. He'll just wait.
Again, I am just, appalled at how uh, you would hope that our government would try to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to vote and have a
Yeah.
voice heard. But here we are amidst years and years and years of voter suppression. Here we are with the most extreme measure of voter suppression that
Yes.
I've seen, and still, instead of people saying, "Hey, this isn't right," there is a large population of our country that's going along with this situation. I mean, even outside of voting, I just want my packages on time, and they're willing to allow this system to be impeded, you know, just for I guess political expediency for the people who are doing the bidding rather than them, on the bottom. So it's just another measure of trying to process, how important our rights are and how important it is to fight for it and to continue to have people that represent what we hope
Well,
to
that's right.
change.
And
Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you that one of the first things I want to do after I get reelected is we got to strengthen the Voting Rights Act. We got to put more money in elections. We got to make it easier for people to vote. We got to honor my late friend John Lewis with the
Hmm.
John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act of 2020. We got to get that passed and put some teeth back in the voting rights and make it easy for people to vote. With today's technology, you can do it by mail, you can do it in person, you can do it safely, efficiently, not have any fraud involved. And that's what we've got to do. We want to up our
We do.
numbers in Alabama and let the chips fall where they're going to fall politically.
All right. I like the sounds of that. And that is exactly what I think needs to happen. I would even think like right now, considering how we're even able to do shows and do different things nowadays online, like I get safety. I get the threat of fraud and election. I get it. But the convenience of being able to do things virtually. I mean, we're in 2020, as you said,
Right.
in the middle of a pandemic. In the middle of a pandemic. So that I just wanted to see your thoughts on that. We only have a few more minutes, but I know that people like to know about people's personalities. We're gonna play a quick game and then we're gonna chat a little bit.
Uh-oh.
It's easy, it's really easy. It's called the two of the lesser evils, okay?
Okay.
And you're just gonna pick. You're just gonna pick. So the first one is spam or tuna.
Oh, that's easy. The lesser of the evils, or the one I
Yeah,
would like the best. I mean, I'm
that's
not
how.
a
That's
I'm not a spam guy, okay, but
okay.
I am a tuna guy.
Gotcha. Orange or gray? Speaking color wise, like I don't know whose favorite color is orange.
Great,
Gray. Okay.
great.
Bungee jump or hang glide?
Oh my God. Woo. Um, I've never done either, so that was
Okay.
a hard one. I've done a couple of interesting things that would come closer to a bungee jump, and that's probably what I'd
Just
probably
stick to
pick
what you.
that one.
There you go. That's smart. Android or Apple?
Apple.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Long time Apple
Kiwi.
fan. Big long
Okay,
time Apple
gotcha.
fan.
Cool. So they've won you over. The last one, kiwi or grapefruit?
Grapefruit.
Okay. So you see, like how you had to put some thought into that. And it's just like politics. It's like elections, but with yours, it's not that hard. It's really easy. You don't have to pick the lesser of two evils. You can pick Doug Jones. And I need you to tell us why. Tell us why. One more time, like why this is so important and what you need from the people.
Well, the reason I think if you compare me and the opponent, my opponent moved to Alabama 18 months ago to simply because he said he would always have Donald Trump's back. Well, I
Yeah.
want folks to know that you're not going to agree with me on everything, but doggone it, when I'm in Washington, when I'm at home working virtually, when I'm traveling, I've got your back. I don't have Donald Trump's back. I won't have President Biden's back. I'm going to have your back. I want to do things that I think are in the best interest of folks in Alabama. And I think if you look at my record in healthcare, you look at the 21 bills, I've got 21 bipartisan bills that have been passed by the Congress and the Senate, signed into law by President Trump. And that's a pretty good record for a freshman senator that I would put up against anybody. So I think that the main thing is that I'm looking out for the people of Alabama, and Tommy Tuberville makes no bones about it. He's looking out for Donald Trump, and that's it.
Mm.
That's what he says. If you look at everything he said, I'll always have Donald Trump's back. I don't know what he's going to do if Donald Trump doesn't get elected. Of course,
Wow.
he's not going to either. So that's going to be an easy thing. He can just go back to Santa Rosa Beach and hang out in the sun.
Thank you for that. One last question because this commenter posted it early on. I think it's a good question to end with. What do we have to do to get the KKK to be legally considered a terrorist organization? Thanks, Mrs. Stewart, for that.
It's an interesting question, in part because the KKK and a lot of these groups really are existing on the internet more than they are like they used to be in those days before Morris Dees got hold of them and shut them down. You don't see membership rolls and things like that. So I know that white supremacist organizations have been considered by the Justice Department. I don't know what has gotten on there or not, but quite frankly, folks like that, if they exist as an organization, they ought to be. I really think that these white supremacist organizations do more harm and more damage to this country that people don't realize. And I think somebody ought to be looking very seriously at that if they hadn't already. I know that Chris Wray, who's the FBI director, has been looking at a number of these. I just don't know off the top of my head which ones have been looked at, which ones have been added, but I think some have. But I completely agree with you about the white supremacy organizations. They are totally opposite of what we need to have in this country, and they are domestic terrorists. Nobody knows that more than me, who prosecuted domestic terrorists that bombed a church in Birmingham and killed 4 young black girls.
Yes. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you for your time tonight. Hopefully, Vital has been a great experience for you, and you've been able to reach some people that did not know that Doug Jones was a homeboy from Fairfield, Alabama. I mean, wow. And that you are already representing us in Washington, and we need you to get back there and be able to do that and continue the work that you've already started.
Well, it's great to have been with you. I really appreciate the opportunity. Y'all stay safe, stay
Absolutely.
healthy, and let's do it again sometime soon, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Guys, we're going to take a quick break and we will be back. We have even more to discuss. We're talking about so much more tonight that is along the lines of politics, racism, just where we've been throughout COVID. We do it every week, but tonight we're going to do it, and we have guests in studio to give us more insight on personal experience. So we're going to hear from a friend of mine. I'll let her introduce herself in the second half when we get to it. Right here on the Abby Award-winning Vital Show on V94.9. Don't forget, if you're driving around and you're in the area, pull up, pull up, pull up. We got snow cones honoring the late great T. Carson, Twist T, Terrence Thomas Carson, dear friend and family of the V94 radio station. So pull up, get a snow cone. That's what he asked for. So that's what we got. Yeah, we'll be right back in just a few. Hey everyone, so as you know, we take our commercial breaks. You all can still stay in the conversation. Don't go anywhere. Share the conversation, share the video, and we'll be back in just a few moments. So y'all just stay put, don't leave, stay put, don't leave. And we're back. You are tuned into the Abby Award winning Vital Show right here on V94.9. I am Lady Wu in the virtual studio. Ready Eddie is there. And in studio, I have special guests. I'm trying to get it in streamer. I don't know why we just thought about it like as we're already in, but that's how it happens. You all just heard the first half of the show with Senator Doug Jones. I think that was just a great intro to him. A lot of times we have to be reintroduced to people that represent us and people that are desiring to represent us. We have to know who they are and what they stand for and what they plan to do with our vote. I think he gave a pretty good argument. He's from Fairfield, Alabama. He's a homeboy right here, right across the way. Somebody that we have heard of. He's been in Washington representing us already, so we got to get him back. So that's the other important part of voting. When you vote in these elections, it's not just you don't just vote for the president or you don't just vote for the mayor. There are other positions and other seats in these different elections as well. Eddie, what did you think about what you heard?
I think that he really spoke to the core of what's important to me.
Yeah.
Um, just making sure that we have fair elections, making sure that everything that is done in that political field um, fair for Alabamians, focusing on the issues that I see every day. I mean,
Hmm.
speaking specifically to the issue of being in that income bracket where you can't get on Medicaid, but you also can't afford decent
Right.
insurance. That is a lot of
Right.
people, So for me, just speaking to the issues as they exist is important.
Absolutely, because that's the one that really stood out for me as well. Like I do appreciate the understanding racism and the history of where we are. Like I wanted to ask him, and I thought about it after the fact. Like Alabama, representing Alabama in anything. Like I'm never just excited to say, "Oh, I'm from Alabama," so for damn sure will want to be the senator. Like that's a difficult position to be in when you got people from New York and New Hampshire and then Alabama and oh y'all be last at everything and you got to go up there and represent us in a way to say well hey we're not just so last that we shouldn't be represented so I look at it that way as well I really
what's
appreciate
always what's always encouraging to hear is
hmm
like the energy I get is that I'm not going up there to prove to them that Alabama is any better. I'm there to say that
right
listen, my state needs this, and I'm gonna fight for my state to have this,
there we go
and this is what we're gonna do. And so it's a lot of politicians that bring that energy. That is definitely more so about the people. But there are some politicians out there that you just get the sense that it's about them and it's about whatever their little agenda is, but it don't feel like it's about whoever they state. Because there's a lot of politicians. I have no idea what they state is.
right
I hear their
right
name all the time. They always on the news, but they not saying I'm doing this for the people of my state. You know,
yeah I was pleased. So November should not be that difficult for people in this area when it comes to who we're sending to Washington. Should not be hard. That's why we play the game. The game just kind of proved how people get in there. Well, this is two of us. No, like we giving it to you. This is what it is. Boom. Ask questions later if you have them, but you shouldn't because we try to make it really plain. So, as we progress in the conversation, I know that everybody has really been just glued to entertainment and just not entertainment, but news and social media and watching what's been happening in the world through so many different mediums. But social media has been just the one that has given news and life to every story. Um, this young lady that's in studio, her story caught when it was alive. Like we go live about things on a daily basis. Like things will happen and we'll jump on live and talk about them and then 10 people to show up. Then sometimes 50 might, sometimes 100 might. But when like 200 and then like 2,000 and then like 10,000 come, you must really be talking about something. So this particular story, I kind of waited on it for a couple of reasons. One, because in the heat of the moment, everybody wants the news. They want what's hot. They want it as it's happening and as it's unfolding. And I believe, and I think Eddie, we may share this empathy about giving people time to understand the position that they're in. Like I don't want to have to get. I was the first to talk to baby. No, like I want to be able to get her when she's or when whoever it is able to really give us the real. And I think tonight we're in store for the real as to a situation that occurred a couple of weeks ago. And I think we're ready at this moment. Welcome. Welcome to the studio, Danielle. So yeah, we go back to seventh grade.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I hear you
Okay.
well.
Okay.
So I don't know what to call you because we go back to
You
seventh
gonna call
grade.
me baby? That's what you know me as.
And like we'll be like, I don't know if I should call you what you know me as, but I want you to call me Woo. Okay. So baby, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Woo.
Was that uncomfortable? Like,
No,
Woo.
no, no, no. I was gonna get my headphones on. You caught me off guard. I thought I had a few more minutes.
Oh no, you in here. We are here. So I just want to welcome you. And like I said, I wanted to wait. It's always appropriate for me, and I think for people to give others an opportunity to really understand the season that they're in.
Right.
And I've watched and we've chatted, and I feel like you understand the season that you're in now.
Oh man, it's a new one.
So that puts you here at Vital because I feel like she's here. She has arrived, and I think you are okay with where you are now. So about has it been a month now?
It's
Maybe a
been a
month
month.
ago. So a month
Coming
ago.
up on the 31st to be a month.
Okay. So 31st, you're headed to work.
Headed to work.
And I want to just shape this conversation just as all of us are sometimes headed to work.
Right.
Some of us wear uniforms, some of us have tags that say who we are, some of us have different identifiers on our vehicles that say who we are, and we're headed to work.
Right.
So this is your story.
Right. I was traveling to work. I work in Huntsville.
Mhm.
So it's a commute for me every day, Monday through Friday. And I was traveling 65 north and coming through the Kimberly area,
Mhm.
into Warrior, into Blount County. And I saw the officer sitting over on the side around the Kimberly area.
Okay.
And I saw him running radar. I had my windows down. I had my music going. I listened to my praise and worship in the morning because it's a dangerous road that I travel every week. And he looked over at me. I looked back at him. And at that moment, I knew I was going to be stopped. There was no doubt in my mind that I knew I was going to be stopped. So I continued to travel, and he got behind me, put his lights on, pulled me over. He approached my vehicle very quickly and kind of aggressively. Safety wasn't a concern of his.
Yeah.
But during my traffic stop, those two officers, they humiliated me. They tried to intimidate me, even in uniform.
Did they acknowledge that? Did they
Well,
acknowledge
when
uniform?
when the initiating officer saw my uniform, it kind of took him by surprise, and he's looking at my patches but when he acknowledged it, it was in a manner of, good for you, you got a federal job, like whoop-de-woo. It wasn't that's, I see who you work for. No, it was, you think you better than us or whatever because you work for the
and I
government.
hadn't said a word. I'm just driving to work.
I'm driving. And we all exchanged some words. And after he made that comment, and I'm looking like, that has nothing to do with this moment.
Right.
The second officer, well, when I asked him, I said, well, why did you pull me over? I said, because I know I wasn't speeding. And he kind of looked at me and he said, well, you were following too close. And then and you were on your phone. I said, no, sir, I wasn't on my phone. I said I was listening to my music. Well, yes, you were. You were on your phone. I said, okay. Then the other officer said, well, what did he tell me? He told me, he said, you need to, you think you're above the law. And I said, how do I think I'm above the law? I said, I'm tired of being harassed coming through this area. Well, then he tells me, well, stop breaking the law.
So what law did you break? What did they say?
He told me I was following too close. It's the reason why he stopped me, and that I was on my phone.
That's what. Okay.
Those are two citations that I received that day.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't on my phone. My phone records will reflect that I was not on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't following too close because when you come through that area, the traffic is not even thick anymore. Once you get through Gardendale, Fultondale and Gardendale, it thins out. But the question you have to ask, how did you really see anything if your eye is to that radar gun? You're zoned in. You got to make sure that you're tracking the right vehicle. You can't see. It's almost like a tunnel vision. If you really want to be
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I
correctly
mean,
saying.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so after they tried to double team me, at least that's how I felt.
Yeah. I can imagine.
I told him, I said, sir, either you're gonna write me a ticket or you're not.
Mhm.
And at that time, he told me, I sure am. And he stormed back like a little 2-year-old. He stormed back to his car. And he began to, you know, write the tickets. And the second officer was just basically trying to belittle me. Do you have driver's license? And I said, of course I do. I handed him my driver's license. Then he asked me, well, do you have proof of insurance?
Mm.
Yes, sir. It's on my phone.
Mhm.
I handed him my phone. Then he asked me for registration for my vehicle. So
And this is all in separate asks. This is not
this
your
is
license
separate.
registration.
Yes, as he asked for one, I presented it. He gave it back. He asked me for all three.
So you really playing.
You're really
Yeah,
playing.
gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
you taking me down through there. Okay. So I gave him, but as I'm giving him what he's asking of me, he's constantly just mouthing at me. You just have an attitude problem. I said, sir, you don't even know me. How do you know if I have an attitude or not? You don't know me. I said, I'm just strictly trying to give you what you ask of me. You know, and the other officer came back to the vehicle and he gave me both tickets. And then I asked him for his name. He said, oh, it's on the ticket. I said, okay, but I wanted it anyway because I wanted to write it down.
Yeah.
He said, well, if you're going to complain, he told me where to go to complain.
Mhm.
But not to mention, Moo, that doing that traffic stop. Now, lights and sirens are supposed to initiate the body arm, the camera,
Mhm.
okay? The video and the audio. But he didn't initiate that camera until well off in the traffic stop
Okay.
because he told me that I guess I better turn my camera on because I feel a complaint coming.
Mm.
I don't know what their policy is. I don't know what the procedure is, but I do know when I was a deputy that the lights initiated
That's
your
what
camera.
starts it. Yeah.
Right. And also there's policies when you make that contact with the public, you're supposed to turn it on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a civilian, and I would think that that's when it would start.
Right.
If I find this to be one of those situations where I need to enact my job, where I need to start doing my job actively, I'm going to follow the necessary steps to make sure that I am covered.
Right.
That's what I would think.
Right.
So this is last thing about how long. Like at this point, you've been pulled over. How long?
I want to say I was on the side of the road maybe 10 minutes.
Okay. Oh, so all of this happened like quickly, quick harassment, just as quick as what happened with Breonna Taylor.
Right.
So like
Right.
just as quick, how things can just switch.
Right.
What were you thinking?
Man, honestly, in that moment, I was so frustrated.
Mhm.
I felt humiliated. I was upset. I was mad. I had a bunch of emotions going on because I was so tired of being profiled because it's been happening for years.
Mm.
But even just if you want to just go back, let's say 6 months to 8 months, just in that area,
Mhm.
what I've experienced. But when I pulled over, Woo, to the gas station, I tried to get myself together because I was upset.
I can imagine.
And I immediately I called my supervisor. I let her know what was going on, what I experienced that day, and also let her know what I had been experiencing traveling to work.
So I know, and you mentioned like this road and this travel that you do. What is it? Is this the first time that you have been physically pulled over, or like what's the? I can imagine feeling tense about making this commute. What had you experienced prior to this moment?
Well, prior to this particular stop, I was stopped by Kimberly police when I was traveling the back roads to get to 65 when the construction was going on in the interstate in
Gotcha.
Birmingham.
Okay.
Okay. So I would go through Center Point, come down through Pinson, go through Morris, then Kimberly, and hit 65.
Yeah.
Right. But I was traveling through Kimberly and I was coming 2-lane road, and the white female officer, she runs the stop sign. Okay. Now I have the right of way. She slams on brakes. I slam on brakes to avoid us causing a wreck. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm continuing on. I'm coming up on the elementary school,
Mhm.
and she comes up behind me real fast, throws the lights on. So I pull over. She approached my vehicle. I let the window down, and of course she sees my uniform, so she's like, oh. And then she says, "Oh, you was flying, weren't you?" I said, "Ma'am, you ran a stop sign. I almost hit you."
Wow.
And she said, "Well, you have your license and insurance." And I handed it to her. She went back behind the car. She didn't, get in her vehicle, but I believe she did run my license.
Mm-hmm.
She had her backup officer back there as well, and he said something to her that she didn't agree with because she kind of threw her hand down. Okay, like whatever.
Yeah.
She approached my vehicle. Now, remember now, she said originally she stopped me because I was flying.
Mm-hmm.
But when she approached my vehicle again, that changed. Well, the reason I stopped you was the flashing light was on. Okay. So now, mindful in school zones, you'll have a flashing light usually drop down to 15 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the school was in, class had started, no light was on. And I told her, I said, "Ma'am, the lights weren't on.
Like, once again, stop playing.
You playing.
Stop
Okay.
playing.
You're insulting my intelligence now because they see the federal uniform, but little do they know that I have 9 years of state and local, so I know the state law. Okay. So I said, "Ma'am, the flashing lights wasn't on." I said, "I've been doing this a long time." And she said, "Well, do you want your driver's license back?" I said, "I do." And I got them, and I was on my way. Two other occasions I come through there.
Okay.
And they followed me for like a mile, 2 or 3 miles. Then they'll turn off and then turn around. So I know you wasn't just going to a call because I look in my rearview mirror, you turn off and you turn around, go back the other way.
Yeah.
And I was actually looking for a home in that area because it would have reduced my driving time 30 minutes each way. And I said, "Lord, no. Nope." I said, "This is not the area for me."
So, like I guess my friend Eddie uses the overt actions of the law enforcement in this situation would definitely make me question everything about me as an officer,
Right.
me as a Black woman,
Right.
me as a woman,
Right.
and then my safety. Like, I'm looking at the idea that in these areas where I may not appear to be protected, even behind this badge that I have,
Right.
what, like, that part, especially in today's conditions, has really pushed you into more, like, this has pushed you more so into purpose now than ever. So now
Right.
what has this done for you recently?
For me, it didn't hit me in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't hit me until I got home, and the traffic stop just kept replaying in my mind, and I was no longer a law enforcement officer. I felt like I was no different from any other tragedies that had occurred because I knew that I carried my handgun in that unrest. I knew my badge and credentials were there.
Yeah.
And I know that the way that officer presented himself in both of their behaviors, that had I lifted my unrest, that would have been it. So my perception, even though I had been harassed and profiled before, but man, the thought of that, and that's the thought that I still think about.
Yeah.
That's something that still bothers me, that I could have died that day,
Like the what
easily.
If. Yeah.
Easily. So the uniform means nothing on me. I'm no different from nobody else. And it showed that day. They did not see the uniform. They saw a Black woman.
Wow. We're going to pick up more on this conversation just to see what Baby is up to now, and like how in these times that is already so difficult, race relations are not the best.
Right.
Just conditions, things are not good right now. We're making the best of things. So then to add a layer of this to somebody's life at the hands of racism and I guess sexism and almost classism, because they tried to flex because you're federal. Like, wow, just all these different darts thrown at you in one stop. When we come back from our quick break at the top of the hour, we're going to talk about more of what Officer Jackson has endured and what she started, because it's vital. I see all of you logging in. What's up, Carlos, Tia, Kim, hey, and Diane, and the rest of you. I see you on. Stay on if you're watching on social media. You can't go anywhere if you're listening on the radio. You got about 2 minutes. We'll be right back. You're listening to Vital on B94.9 WATV.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's when I tell you it's no lie that my sleep is if I can't get any good sleep. I'm staying with my parents. We live my parents
Yeah. Whoa, that's what I'm talking about. So Bebe is in the studio. Yeah, we have had a lot of information given to you tonight. Personal experiences, uh political stuff, and I think all of it goes hand in hand because you think about being in these situations and not being protected and or just feeling as if you're not protected and as if you're not represented. So I'm just really grateful for the flow of the show tonight and just how these things are going together from Senator Doug Jones to Officer Jackson, who is a this is family. So to see it from my Dana eyes, like from my black woman mama eyes, we
right,
got children.
right,
We're somebody's daughters. We are, loved by people. We love ourselves, and to just be doing my job and to think that in a split second I could be discriminated against or picked on to the point where my life could end.
right,
And that's where we just ended off. I know a lot of you have watched the video all the way through. I didn't. I didn't even. And I guess because, I immediately reached out and was just like, "Are you good?"
right,
And that was coming from another place.
right,
That was like
right,
all
right,
outside of Facebook. So I know Eddie can kind of speak to that. PTSD and how it affects you to be in situations that are so traumatic.
right.
That's traumatic. That's a traumatic
Yes,
situation.
yes.
What have you been dealing with since this happened?
Well, man, I the day of I didn't go to work
Yeah.
because I told my supervisor there's no way I can make it. I was so upset. I was so
I'm
upset,
upset now.
mad, angry, all kind of emotions. I
Yeah.
went straight. Well, I did go and complain to the chief that day, but I went home and my parents had, saw what happened. We spoke, we talked, and I talked about it all day, and then that night I got no sleep. I tossed and turned. I tossed and turned. I tossed and turned the next night.
Mhm.
I called in Monday. I told my supervisor I'm not in any condition to come to work. I knew I wasn't there. I was just stressed. And Monday, I said, I think I need to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was antsy. I don't know. It was just a feeling that I had never felt. And I had 2 panic attacks, which I've later found that that's what it was. My breathing. I mean, it was scary. My parents was like, no, you got to we got to take you to the doctor.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, that was within 3 days of the traffic stop. Now, my sleep still is not right. But for me, I'm a very positive person.
Yeah.
So for me, I've kind of just put a whole nother armor on. It's like, hey, you got a mission. You got something to do. So despite not getting rest and just kind of running on fumes sometimes, I'm just focused and just trying to do what I feel like is my mission to do.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Eddie, jump in and speak to that. Like that's it. That's what we are.
Um, Unfortunately, with the police, we have people who are able to be put in the positions of power, and is relatively unchecked as far as the community goes. I mean, they have their own little ways of checking it within the system, but it don't work for us.
Right.
And those experiences now are coming to light as being universally traumatic for the Black community, because they are being a lot more assertive and aggressive with us than anybody else. And it's over and over again turning into either deaths or unwarranted arrests, or just a level of conflict that could be avoided if they show some humanity more often than not. And so just PTSD is like, if you think of a cow being branded, and them taking that hot iron and branding it on a cow and it leaving that mark. That's what PTSD does.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's hard to avoid it when it's a part of your commute to work every day.
Right. Absolutely.
Or it's a part of something that you do consistently, or if it's people that are in the neighborhood, like if you lived in Kimberly, with knowing that those officers would do the same thing.
Right.
It not only does it brand you, but it continues to allow that brand to be renewed, continuing to be in that same space.
Yeah.
And so it's something that we got to experience as a culture, because it keep happening over and over again. You don't even have to live in Kimberly. You live in America.
Right.
The same thing going on. So we have to take care of ourselves. We have to get some coping skills to work with that anxiety. It's not going to change, those experiences that happen, but it's going to condition us to be able to manage ourselves better when we experience them. We got to get some mental health counseling in this situation.
Absolutely, man. The first thing that I messaged, I was like, hey, breathe. Like, you need to physically ground right now in this moment and breathe. You were at the hospital then. I'm like, look, first of all, we're not going to allow these officers to even put that type of energy in this right here. We're not going to do that. So breathe and take control of this moment. And I know, like, when we're not in these situations, we don't understand how severe they can be. Like, a lot of people probably like, well, she just got, we get stopped all the time. It's when you get stopped and literally stripped of everything that you worked for.
Right.
Like, I can imagine in that moment, this is everything. This is what I do. And y'all just like, what?
Right. And like I said, that officer was pretty much darn near in my passenger window. So if he would have saw that gun, that's what bothers me. It's not the tickets. It's not that.
But you were dressed for work.
Right. But that's the thing. Had I not had my uniform shirt on and traveled in my black shirt like I do sometimes, and he saw that gun, it wouldn't have been no questions asked. That would have been it.
We got some comments, and one of them I'm really, really liking right now. It's from Lamar Story, who's been tuned in throughout the show. So they know that you need some support because we're talking about self care and mental health at this moment. And he's over at Life Touch Massage, and he
Okay.
wants you to come over. They want you to come on over
Okay.
and get a massage on the house. He's the boss, so that
Okay.
means that it's okay.
I appreciate that.
So, and I can
Thank
only
you.
imagine like the tense that you might need
Right.
to get that worked out. So, thank you, Lamar, for that. Thanks, Crystal, for this post about what Bebe is into now. So that's what I want to get to before we go any further. What you're doing now, how this has morphed into purpose. Like pain, a lot of times leads us to purpose.
Right.
So you got a whole channel out here now.
Man. Well, but the thing is, well, so many, the love
yeah,
that I receive from all over the world is just unbelievable. And through those words, through the prayers, a lot of people started reaching out and saying, "Hey, I had this situation," or "Hey, I got a 16-year-old son that just began to drive. I'm scared.
Yeah.
What can you share with me to help?" So then I said, "Man, I love to help people.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something that I know that can help others." So that's what I began to do.
Okay.
But in the process, I started thinking, we know it's a problem, right?
Absolutely.
We can sit around and talk about the problem all day, every day. But until there's resolutions to the problem's going to stay a problem. So I have a vision. I have some things that, I want to share with the right person. When I'm talking about a senator.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm talking about Congress.
Yeah,
I'm talking about big woo, because it's bigger than the department, but it's going to start with the department.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
The experience had to happen in the department, so this is where it starts.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And traffic stops just don't go from a traffic stop to shooting. It starts with the racist cop,
Yeah.
the profiling, the pulling people over for no reason, the black person being tired of being, profiled, and you upset because you're getting pulled over again because you have a nice car. It all boils back down to this, the basics.
Well, you guys, you have heard the first part. Like this is the first part from the experience to the outcome. So we're looking at outcomes now. Like you've endured this for many, I'm sure. And like I mentioned, Breonna Taylor, we're still talking about her.
Right.
Who was at home, but she served in somewhat of a capacity of law enforcement.
Right.
On tomorrow, I'll be in a conversation with the sheriff's department about women in law enforcement.
Okay.
I will share the link on the Vital Show page later on tonight. But it speaks to just being protected. Are we protected? And at what cost? If I protect others, if I serve and protect it, be it the border, be it the block, wherever I am I protected? And so I can only, like I keep saying, I can only imagine the level of protection that was violated. Like that's a violation, what you experienced. We have another comment I want to share, and then we're going to get your contact information. This one is from Nikki, and Nikki says, "Speak on it. My 17-year-old just started driving on his own. My stress level is extremely high right now. It should be a joyous occasion when your black sons get their license, not a stress-provoking occasion."
Right.
Yeah.
And see, that's what I want to change.
Yeah.
I want to remove that fear. You black. I shouldn't have even had the thought of knowing that I know I'm going to get stopped.
Yeah.
Right. You, as a black person driving, we shouldn't have to go under the speed limit to avoid from being stopped because you're profile, because you drive a nice car.
Yeah.
I mean, I want all that to stop. And when I tell you,
yeah,
I've got some ideas that if they are put in place, it'll stop. Or you gonna turn your badge and your gun in.
Love it. So whatever we can do to help, I like I said, these conversations link because you just had direct access to Senator Doug Jones. It's going to be our job to get people like him who would listen to us and actually come and talk to us, get them around, keep them in office so that you can have those conversations. There are a lot of people who don't care about what you've experienced,
right?
But we do, and our listeners do, and the support is going to continue. So how can they find you on social media to continue this conversation and to support and find out where you're doing seminars, whatever you're going to be doing?
Right. Well, on Facebook is Deejenay, DeeJenay. That's my fan page. Danielle Jackson, that's my personal page. And on YouTube, I have started putting videos on there. I actually went live today to kind of keep everybody updated. But that's going to be Deejenay as well, EJENAY on the YouTube. And like I said, you can find the videos there. We're going to be doing, my brother and I, doing some traffic stop
Oh,
scenarios and
yeah.
things of that nature to inform people. And we're going to be having different conversations.
We're here for it. Thank you so much for kicking it with us on a Sunday night. Be sure to get you a snow cone.
Okay, I
We're
will.
gonna we
Appreciate
gonna keep you covered. So you got the massage coming, you're gonna get a snow cone, and then we're gonna link you with legislators so that some things can happen and conversations can turn into some positive situations and make us feel better about where we are just
Right,
existing. We should feel better about that and be okay and comfortable doing our jobs and headed
right,
to do our jobs.
right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much. Those of you who are viewing, thank you for your comments as well. Those of you who are listening, thank you for your prayers because I know that this is your second time on these airwaves at WATV, once with the morning show and then tonight. So just continue to follow DJNA and look at the videos, share them, share her message. And I hear you coming up on a bigger show that a lot of people are watching very soon. When
Right.
is it?
Next Sunday, the 30th.
So next Sunday, the 30th at the Red Table.
Right,
Awesome. So that we talked about that here. Jada Pinkett and cleared the table off of something that's really, really personal for us. So be
right.
sure to check that out as well. Baby, hang around.
Okay.
Eddie, we have some other things to talk about. We have the DNC that happened this week. And I told you guys we had snow cones out on the premises this evening. I see somebody outside, but I wanted to get the owner of the snow cone. Let me see. Is he out here? Hey, so yeah, he is out here. He's gonna make his way in the studio, and he's gonna take the hot seat just for a second to let us know who he is and what he's doing and the many hats that he wears. But just tonight, to be here at the just drop of a dime, to be a part of what we're doing and honoring T. What up, Tony?
What's happening?
How are you?
I'm
So yeah, talk directly in the mic.
okay.
Shit. There you go. So Tony, 205 Ice.
Yes.
So tonight, well, today, you all know I told you I've been saying the story all weekend, just about T, DJ Twist T asking for a snow cone. Like that was his request. Like when I get out of here, I'm gonna get a snow cone. And like I said, he got out on the other side and he's probably gonna get all the snow cones he could ever imagine. But right here on this side, we wanted to do something that was fun and lighthearted and give him what he asked for. And Tony pulled up. I really appreciate it. So tell us about your business and how people can get to you and what you've been doing.
All right, 205 ice, shaved ice. And shaved ice is different from snow cones.
Okay.
Snow cones is the crunchy ice.
Uh huh.
You're at a birthday party and they got the rental machine.
Yeah. Shaved ice is that good
Yeah,
ice that I
shaved
like
ice
every
is
day.
snow. So I actually passion myself to do actually snow and the reason being is growing up, I used to always want shaved ice.
Mm-hmm.
That was and I used to always stand in line, and I would think everybody was standing in line for mine.
That's what's
uh,
up.
so I mean, that's the reason why I started.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it started from a desire that you had, and for us, it started from T asking and you saying, I pull up. And with vital gear. So I really appreciate that. But you do something else. You are an educator.
Right.
That's the part that I kind of want to dig into right quick, just with this virtual learning. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Because we got
Well,
to
I
we
think
got to
it'd
talk
be
about
fun.
COVID.
It'd be fun. I mean, if you are tech savvy of a teacher, it'll
Okay.
be fun on that side. And if that student really don't want to, really leave out the house early, it's fun on their end.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. So are you going to get back into it? Are you looking
Oh
forward to go?
yeah, I am going back into
Oh,
it. Yeah,
okay. Like into
it's
the classroom or virtual?
no, I'm going virtual. So
Okay.
I'll be virtual. I can only imagine how it would be for is, I mean, I would love to create a video and then edit it, and because the video can make the classroom fun, you know. So instead of you trying to tell the kids to look to the left on the wall, you can
like,
just
like
drop
which
in
level?
words.
Yeah.
You can drop in pictures. It fall from the sky, magically appear.
Mm-hmm.
You can use it.
Okay.
To your advantage.
I didn't think about that. Okay. What subject do you teach?
Finance and accounting.
So we need your skills. Are you
Yeah.
doing any tutoring?
No,
No.
not into it. Of course, right now.
Tony, we
We
need
can
you to do some
talk.
tutoring.
We
we
can
need
talk.
we need some
Oh, you
shaved
talking
ice
about
and some
tutor
tutoring.
adults.
Yeah, I mean we gonna need it. Virtual man, we gonna need
I
it.
got you. I actually was thinking about doing some type of computer class.
Okay. We everybody's gonna need it all. So if you need any help putting it together, Vital is right behind you to set it up for you. So if people want to get you for the shaved ice, how can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook at 205 Ice, Instagram at 205 Ice. Um, reach me, well, call me 205-527-0231. Uh, yeah.
Okay. I was just happy to get you today.
And I also have a website, 205ice.com.
205ice.com. And if you guys pull up, you will see he put together a whole menu for today. And I really appreciate that. They really made it just even more tea driven. Like you would have to know tea and know how he was and just how his just his whole energy. That right there, that's everything. So we really appreciate that. And for those of you who have not had a chance to stop by, you gonna hang around a little bit longer, just a little
Yeah, I
bit.
will.
I know you've been working. You've been doing the cones and the shaved ice all day, but I
Mhm.
appreciate you.
Yeah, and I do a custom menu for all my birthday parties. So
Hmm.
it's like, the birthday parties have different themes.
True.
So we try to fit the theme as much as possible.
That's what's up. So if I do a dirty 30,
Yeah. So that menu will change into a dirty 30 menu.
you spiking them?
We can talk.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that is Tony with 205 Ice. You guys have the contact information also on Vital Show. You can check him out. Check his shirt out. That's how all of this even started. He's been a supporter, and I just really appreciate you for taking the time to serve us this evening to honor the late, great Terrence Carson, T. Carson, DJ Twist T. I appreciate that. Guys, we're going to take a quick break in just a few. But there are some things that have happened this week. There are a lot of things that have happened that are political. And if you pay any attention to politics, which you should right now, like you really should, even if it's for laughs and giggles, which it shouldn't be, this week really sets you up for what we're looking at for November. But then this coming week is going to show you a whole nother side. So we're going to recap the DNC coming up in just a minute, like really just a second. I might even just play this and keep the mic on because it's really just a second. I think that's what I'm gonna do right now. Right now, like right now.
Trust me, they can and they will if we don't make a change in this election.
All right, so you heard that. The DNC happened this week, and boy, was it I was about to say entertaining. It's not entertainment. It was interesting. It was informative. It was educating. It was vital. I learned a lot. A lot. You hear that? I learned a lot. So I'm going to recap day 3. Eddie, where were you with this whole thing? Did you watch it? Were you like taking notes? Was it really like what was it for you?
I didn't watch at all. I didn't watch any of the DNC.
Eddie,
Yes, ma'am.
you're off. You're fired. You're fired.
I tried to, I've been a part of meetings and things that I just couldn't get out of that's late in the day.
Yeah.
And when my day wound down, I just was not thinking about hopping on to the DNC. I most of my energy is put towards watching clips and reading articles because I can do it on my time, you
Right.
know.
Mhm.
So I kind of caught up with a lot of stuff going on.
Same here. So the catch up part was what I did as well. So day night 1 and night 2 and didn't catch it. I was doing some other stuff. But because of the lovely social media and the news and everybody's opinion and I shared it on Facebook, I was able to go back and see everything. So there were a couple of just dynamite moments. First Lady Michelle Obama spoke and she really riled people up as she always does. We just love to see her do anything. Um Former president Bill Clinton made a push, and after his push, the I guess people from the right pushed back and tried to throw out some nasty news and some nasty photos, but that did not change the hearts of those that paid attention to what was being said. But then there was day 3, and that is when, like when I back in the day, Eddie, when I used to prepare for these moments, I would sit up with my notebook or with my laptop with a pen, and I'm zoned in, super engaged, making sure that I'm catching all the moments. So a couple of highlights for me um, were the all of the former well, presidential candidates that are now supporting, of course, like you should support, that are now supporting the current Biden and Harris. That was awesome. They were interviewed by Cory Booker, who was another contender. It was quick, but it was good. It was straight to the point. Of course, Bernie showed out on that. But then Bloomberg, I loved his speech. He said that he's been a Democrat, he's been a Republican, and he's been an independent. He talked about the COVID quack cures. He talked about small business and business questions because he's really a businessman. And he talked about Donald Trump being this businessman that so many people, when he's a businessman, he's running the United States like a businessman. And he asked some questions about if you had an employee that talked to you any kind of way that didn't know the protocols and procedures of your business, somebody that ran off everybody else that worked with them, would you hire them back? Like, why would you hire that person back and allow them to keep their job if they work for your business? And he's a businessman. He was awesome. He also talked about the climate change, the infrastructure, and tax cuts being done the right way. This all came from Bloomberg, who was also running. I liked him. Then they got on the attack on mail in voting during the pandemic, and it was awesome. All of this led up to our soon to be president, hopefully, Joe Biden. So, listen to this part, Eddie. I think you're going to like this. 33 years after Biden's first bid for the White House, the third time is a charm. So, 33 years, this process of Joe Biden trying to get to Washington, D.C. in that particular arena of president, he's back at it. He is back at it. And not only is he back at it, but he has the potential to make history so many times. And we're going to talk about some of those historical things that could happen. But the first one was already been mentioned, his presidential running mate, the vice presidential running mate of Kamala Harris. So it was just awesome to see the third night, Mr. Eddie Sharp, and all of our listeners. Um, what do you think about that? 33 years in the game, and then now at 77, he would be the oldest. He would definitely be the oldest if he's elected president. But that process, he's trusted his process so much that in 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, at the heels of Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Joseph R. Biden, could be the president of the United States of America. What are your thoughts?
My first thought is a problem that I have with politics, which I mean, just my personal politics. I feel like political seasons need to be shortened. I don't think that you should be able to be
Yeah.
in politics for 45, 50 years, building up
Mm.
the kind of connections and relationships and things that may influence how you move forward. But I guess that's neither here nor there, because
It is here.
we don't
It's
have
here.
that we don't have that system yet. Maybe one day. Um, because we just got a bunch of the same old men running this system into the ground. Um, we need some fresh people in there, some fresh ideas, and realistically, we need to get people invigorated about this system. And it's
Right.
crazy because you talked about Bloomberg scenario of, if you had an employee that does this, an employee that does that, and I don't think many of us recognize that we are the employer. We
We
are the
don't.
employer.
We don't.
We are the ones who make the decision as to whether this person would be in. And I guess the difficult part is in a democracy, there are two opposing sides that are fighting to get that person in. But outside of that, I think the most what we've had lately is especially the right talking about Joe Biden's gaffes and how they think that he's mentally compromised because every time he speaks, he says something that's unbecoming or a problem in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And even Fox News across the board had to give his speech props because the baseline for Joe Biden was so low. It like basically if you just stand straight and don't say a word wrong,
Read the
you'll be
teleprompter.
good. But he
So
actually encouraged, he actually said things that resonated with American people,
yeah.
and it's made it look like Trump is going to have a fight on his hands.
Yeah. Right. I mean, because you look at this one person, Joe Biden, as one person that would be the representative for the people, but there would be a whole team of people behind him. And not to say, I would say now I'm starting to see Kamala Harris as somewhat of a powerhouse. At first, I didn't, but the more that I know that there's a possibility that she could be the representative for us, I'm looking into Kamala Harris, and I'm looking into, does she have that grit that we need to be able to stand strong, flat foot, and say, hey, I can speak on his behalf as the vice president. because I think a lot of our trust in Joe Biden will lie in Kamala Harris.
I think that I think for us to feel comfortable, we need to believe uh, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris has our best interest at heart.
Yeah.
And even if Joe Biden doesn't genuinely have our best interest at heart, let's say that's what a lot of people believe, because of his past and his history, then we can at least be a little bit more comforted in the idea that there is somebody right there that should theoretically be a lot more in tune with what our needs are and be willing to be that voice in the room that says, listen, Joe, these are the people that put you in here. These are the people that supported you or us. And we need to tend to their needs, not only because it's what they're saying they need, but it's because us not having these things that we're asking for, which is that humanity, which is fair treatment in the education system, which is fair treatment in the housing system, which is fair treatment amongst law enforcement and in the prison system, and not being overrepresented in the prison industrial complex. I mean, it's not just about because we said we want these things. It's because we as a community are actively being disenfranchised and destroyed because we're still operating from a system that was created to protect white people and their stuff from black people.
Wow.
And that's problem.
Yeah, you spoke that. And that's basically what we just gathered from what I guess said. Everything that we've talked about over the past several weeks has been that game of we have to protect our stuff, even if it's just the idea that we're protecting something that belongs to us. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it by any cost. If it's on the side of a road, to a federal officer, if it's in somebody's home when they're asleep and they have no idea what we're coming for, if it's in broad daylight with our knee to their neck, whatever that may be, if it's systemic, if it's education, are we going to protect what's ours? So I guess, Eddie, what the Democratic convention really showed me was that we have to identify what's truly ours. Do we understand what's ours to protect? Or do we have anything to protect other than the right to vote?
I think that what we're not realizing, I mean, maybe we do realize it, but what I'm realizing now is that what Trump has done has invigorated an ideology. He's invigorated the idea that, not only are these schools ours and all of these neighborhoods ours, but that this country is ours. That's that white supremacy ideology that is being invigorated behind Trump, And we always are like, I just to go back for a history lesson, we always talk about the Confederacy and the Civil War. And it's not like the people that lost in the Civil War stopped existing. These people wanted America to be something that black people didn't have any power, and all they did was integrate it into power after it ended. They didn't leave America. They stood right here with their ideals and said, we're going to get in positions of power so that we can implement the things that we wanted to do with this Civil War and the Confederacy into our current framework. And understanding that means that we've got to break down this current framework.
Yeah.
We have to.
So when you think about where we are right now, thank you so much. Oh man, when you think about where we are right now and what life looks like as far as politics, as far as racism, as far as classism, as far as sexism, education, all institutions all over the world in any type of way, organizational, business structures, infrastructure, where are we in that? Where are we in that? So like these conversations I find vital to be one of the most awesome things in the world that God ever created. But where are we in the bigger scheme of things? Like what are we scraping for pennies? Are we really just trying to find our place finally? Or what?
I think that the DNC showed me that we have people that represent us that have a roadmap. They have a roadmap to where we want to go, and it's rooted in ideals. Now, I'm gonna be fair. It's my ideals. It's because my upbringing has led me to have a high overlap with ideas that Democrats throw out there. And so everybody don't have my politics. But it set a roadmap that helped me know that they have an actual direction. Now, let me talk about who are the RNC's featured speakers. All right.
Please.
You got the MAGA hat kid from Covington Catholic. I don't know if you remember that story, but they were in Washington and they had like a standoff with a group of Native
Yeah.
Americans.
Yes.
Boom. We got the My Pillow guy, which is, he made his success off of My Pillow, but he's been out marketing a medication that's supposed to, heal COVID.
Yep.
We got
Yep.
the doctor who talked about hydrochloroquine being the solution, but also was talking about demons and all of that stuff.
Yep.
We got Kid Rock, we got Scott Baio, and we got that couple that brought the guns out on the protesters.
As the speaker.
The people that they have speaking does not represent an ideology of where they want the country to go. These are people who they just want the celebrity voice. And that's that component of Donald Trump that makes the White House seem like a caricature of itself, rather than an actual institution that is supposed to be leading the country.
Wow. So what you got from the DNC was encouraging, it was motivating, it was political, it was personable, it was everything that it should be. And I know that somebody that may not be a part of that group, a part of that base, may say, oh, she's just saying that because, whatever. But no, it actually was something that even if I did not identify as Democrat, I would have found as uplifting, uniting. It made me feel good. From all indications, what's going to happen this week is going to make me laugh. And it's going to make me cry at the same. I'm going to be sad, but it's probably going to be some very comical moments. I hear that the president himself is speaking every night. I found that out today. I don't know if that was rumored or if that's true, but it's that type of thing. When you think about making sure that messages are out, making sure that your base is encouraged, it takes a different type of encouragement for our base as opposed to theirs. They are sold. They have something to believe in, and it's not hard to convince them to get out and vote for it or to hold on to it. Whereas we don't have that, or either we don't recognize that we do have it, or that it needs to be created. Where are we in the fight for things? Because it's two totally different tones. That sounds like you said, a lineup of a variety show that's supposed to be comical. I don't know about that.
Again, I mean, even people who are skeptical about whatever the Democrats say they're going to do for Black people, it's not lost on me the idea that the Black community has just been used as pawns to, be a voting platform for the Democratic Party. I understand that is just a part of politics, but that's why I don't worry about the people. I want to know if my ideals are represented in what they say they're going to do, because that's the only way we can hold them accountable. And the way that I see it is that the fight between left and right is a tug of war. And Donald Trump has pulled it so far against what my ideals look like in changing legislation, or whether it be immigration, whether it be healthcare, whether it be education, whether he put people in places like Ben Carson and HUD or Betsy DeVos as the leader of education, or even Louis DeJoy as the postmaster general right now. Like I said earlier, I just want my packages on time, if nothing else. I order stuff.
And today, Eddie, and you could be whatever you wanted to be if you had the back of the president. You could get your packages on time if you followed him specifically, not the outline or the package of the party, but of the president, of this particular person. Did you hear what his sister said about him?
I didn't read that. I saw that he was an evil person, something like that.
You could have simply listened to it. So I'm going to need you to catch up on this, because it really brings to perspective about the person that is looking to be put back in the White House. And the fear that I have is that, like I was stressing in the first half of the show, the first hour, if we don't really take this thing seriously and start working last year, we will be in the same position or in a worse position after these elections, because Donald Trump will be back in office as the president of the United States of America. It could very well happen.
I mean, yeah, but it don't matter what his niece say. It don't matter what his sister say. Donald Trump is no different than the person we thought he was before he even started running. I mean, we've known about his failures. We've known about his personality. We've known about his narcissism narcissism and his issues is being put on Front Street now because of that. The reality is there is still a large enough group of people to vote for him that people feel like Trump is going to win. It don't really matter what comes out. If Donald Trump don't break any overt crimes, then I mean, and he even believed that if he shoots somebody in the middle of the street, he'll still have his fans and his
And he,
supporters.
he will. He will.
So
I
I think that it's good to give us insight on that, but like we just have to focus on what message is going to get us to the polls, and hating Donald Trump ain't enough at this point because he still got enough people
right.
that can put him in, even if we have a problem with him.
That's the quote of the night. Hating Donald Trump ain't enough. It won't be enough. You actually have to get out and cast your vote and others. Educate others on the importance of the vote. Okay. I have not opened the phone lines up, so I think I should do that. 994-8949. 994-8949 is the number if you want to call in. You can also comment on social media. We see you. So if you want to share your comments and your thoughts there, do. Please do. There's some local elections coming up this week, like in maybe one day now, 2 days. Fairfield, they're looking for a mayor and a city councilor. You've heard some of the names here on the air. I know as long as we've been here, you've heard names, but you've heard names in particular in Fairfield that have advertised with us here. You've also heard about Tarrant. Tarrant is looking for a new mayor and city councilors. They could have an all black situation as well. There are other municipalities that are voting on Tuesday as well. So be sure that if you live in these areas to support the candidates who are looking to support you as your leadership. We gotta see you out at the polls. I speak about the one in Fairfield because that's where my mother's side of my family is from. So I do have like great ties there. And I want to make sure that Fairfield is represented well. I also graduated from Miles College and I will be in the area a little more often now with the school. And I just want to see Fairfield taken care of, like from the top down, not as this mockery of people that are learning politics or trying to figure it out. Get in there and make it happen. So we want to see that over there, but also in all of the other places where elections will be taking place this week. But as far as the big election, we have until November 3rd, which is not far, to go ahead and make it happen. If you have any questions, especially like the early voting info, you can text 30330, text 30330, text vote to 30330. Text vote, and you can get information for your particular area, your state, probably all the way down to where you vote. So get out there and do that. Make sure that you are asking the right questions. I found out from Senator Jones that there are a lot of different components to that early voting. So go ahead now and find out how you can make that happen, especially with COVID. So Eddie, I'm not really hearing a lot of conversation about COVID right now, to be honest. It's the second of conversations.
Yeah, I think that it's a part of the patterns that we have becoming so normalized that like a big part of COVID was how inconvenienced everybody was by it. It's like you reminded every day how inconvenienced you are by it, but it's at a certain point in time when you're doing something over and over and over again, it just become your norm now. And so I think just us coming to a new norm with COVID,
Mm-hmm.
it's just not our focus no more if you ain't coughing around us.
So as long as you're not coughing, all is well. But it's
Yeah.
still very much present. And I think what's going to happen is like as soon as the weather starts changing, so the fear. I hadn't heard a lot from Dr. Fauci either. I wonder where he is. Need to call him. But just a lot of conversation around the fact that in the fall that the numbers will pick up and be kind of crossed over with the flu. It'll be hard to identify those symptoms, and they're really trying to figure out what that's going to look like. And that's around the time that we head to the polls, which is like why now at August 23rd, tomorrow being August 24th, we need to start making some phone calls and put some Googles in to see what this thing is going to look like as far as how you're going to vote. Go to the phone lines. Caller, you're in with Vital on B94.9. Do you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I have a question and a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
When Doug Jones came on, he said if you want to vote absentee ballot, you need to copy your ID. How do you copy it? Just on a paper copy machine?
Yes, sir. We will definitely get more information and share it with Chris, but I would assume that that would be the way, just as you do just a color digital copy of your license and get it printed out and take or mail it in.
Okay, I just want to find out. Thank you.
You're most welcome. That's a good question. Because when he said it, I was thinking the same thing. Like, so are they gonna, like when you get a new social security card, they want you to actually mail in the original documentation for that, but a copy of your license because you can't function without your license if it's mailed somewhere. So just to be clear and to be sure, we'll get more information on that and send it to Chris Coleman so he can address it tomorrow in the think tank.
I want
Um,
to, and I
oh,
just
you
want
almost
to
done.
add. I just want to add that I want to just mention how preposterous voter fraud is. Because first off, all of the steps that Doug Jones said that you have to do in order to get that ballot in, he said you have to have two witnesses or a notary signature. You have to
Yes.
have your actual signature on it. You have to have a photocopy of your license. Like who is going to who can actually go, who can pretend to be somebody else and get
Yeah.
all of those things and still and do that in numbers high enough to impact an election.
But right, first of all, ain't nobody finna do all that. But like when he was going down, I was like, man, that's why you got to start tomorrow. That is why you would have to go ahead and say, let me go ahead and get an absentee ballot now because these steps are crazy. What?
The voter fraud rhetoric make it sound like that they want you to you walk in and put your name on a piece of paper and ball it up and drop it in a hat. It's not. It's really stuff you got to do in order to cheat. It's not easy
Man,
to
like,
cheat.
oh my goodness, that like when he started it, I was like, wow, so that's it. No, oh, you said another step. Oh, it's another step. So yeah, two witnesses, copy of your license, or a notary. Get it in by this date. Make sure it has this on. Oh wow. So
And think
yeah.
about it. And you got to have it mailed to your house. So
Oh my.
it got to be mailed to you. So I mean, are you gonna pretend to be somebody else? Know their address,
Oh
go
my
check their
goodness.
mailbox to get that absentee ballot out of it, then get a copy of their photo ID somehow, figure out how to go to a notary to get it signed, or have two witnesses stand over you and let you pretend like you somebody else. I mean, come
No,
on, man.
none of that, DeJoy. We're not going to do that. So that is why it's so important, guys, to go ahead and get a head start on this text. VOTE to 30330 to get all of this information. Everything that we're saying now, you can get at this website. It's no way that we should get to November and have not checked out all of the possibilities that we have. There are options. We have options and so many different ways that are possible for us to cast our vote. But we want to do it and do it right and not be counted out because we waited too late. Like let's not wait. So today being August 23rd, you have a good month and a half or a whole month. Well, 2 months. I'll go ahead and count the month of October. But I would say by October, you need to already be solid on what you're doing and where it's going and all that. Wow, that's a lot, man. A couple of other things from the DNC that I really liked. It spoke to our nominee, Joseph R. Biden, speaking about the need to cure cancer. Like that's how it opened up on the third night, and that just spoke to me in such a way for so many reasons. My dad's a prostate cancer survivor. My grandfather succumbed to cancer. So many people around me have died from cancer or have survived it. But it's just a thing. Like it's this overarching issue that so many of our people have and deal with. And then like currently dealing with what has happened to T. And that has just really been a thing. So for the presidential nominee to start off talking about cancer and needing a cure for it, his son, Bo, lost his life to cancer, and Bo was 45 years old. Other than this particular diagnosis, pretty decent bill of health. But it sparked something in our presidential candidate to make that be a part of his platform. So you can speak to something that affects so many people in so many different ways. And that just captured me from the beginning. It captivated me. It opened up with him in cancer research and cancer support. So I'm looking forward to that. He understands struggle and overcoming. He talked about his history with stuttering and he lost his first wife and daughter in a car accident. So he understands processing and feeling. I've never heard the current president really speak in a way that moved me about somebody else's experience. So I gathered all of that. I really felt that in my soul that in this moment we need somebody that's at least that connected. They're just connected to the human experience. He mentioned about the four crises that we're facing at the same time. We are facing four crises. We are looking at the economy as a crisis, the racial crisis, COVID as a crisis, and then the climate change. All of this at one time that one person would have to come in, or one administration would have to come in and tackle, and Joseph R. Biden says that he is the person to do it. And that's just what it is. He's that person. So that's what I gathered from it. And of course, just the encouragement and the empowerment to be a part of the political process. That's what I gathered. What is this comment saying? What has the DNC specifically promised Black people in return for our vote? Hey, Brian, welcome back. So I'd like to see his comments. And I will say this: I don't know how you all expect to hear that. And if that's something that we expect to hear, like, hey, Black people, this is particularly for you. This is what I'm going to give you in exchange for your vote. Is that what we're looking to hear? Like, I really wonder about that. Are we looking to hear that particular umbrella of words being used? Like, is that going to be the opening sentence to get us to say it's important that I vote? I didn't recall hearing anything about any particular group. I heard that we have to get the president that's in now out so that we can start to have these conversations. So when we want to hear these things, like I said last week, when we say we need reparations, what does that look like? When we say that we want something in exchange for our vote, what does that look like? What is it that we want? What should be promised to us? But I thank you for that statement and that question.
Now, I think the difficult part in assessing that, like you said, is, I mean, I don't, I'm sure we don't expect Joe Biden to get up and say, hey, Black folks, this is for you, or
That's a
Kamala
good thing.
Harris,
We
any
do
major
that.
leader.
Yeah.
We have to look at where our struggles are. We have to look at where we want change in the Black community. We have to look at their platforms and see, does something that they said they're going to do help with that?
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you right now that if Joe Biden start appointing judges, that they will be more beneficial to the Black community than the ones that Trump is appointing. I mean, let me just say, the system is broken. It ain't no guarantee that any judge that's appointed by anybody, left or right, is going to be, overtly beneficial. But I can tell you right now that somebody that has no experience that's being chosen because they're Trump loyalists are going to be a bigger problem for young Black males that are in the front of that judge than somebody that Joe Biden would appoint. I mean, even just going to look at Joe Biden's foreign policy, I mean, there's a lot of things that if you look at that platform that they have, does something in that help how disproportionately the Black community is impacted by that thing without them coming out and saying, hey, Black folks, here you go.
Thank you, Eddie. Brian came back and said, yes, everyone else gets it in private. And then right as he was saying that, I got this statement or this comment: promises for Black votes are usually coded or bundled with something that benefits a larger group of people. So I feel that as well. And I want to say that if we are the majority and we have that much power, we need to not just go back and forth with each other, but we need to get representation that will say, hey, I'm representing Black people. This is what we say that we want. I hadn't seen that yet, and I don't know if that's because it's politically incorrect to do that. But if that's what we want to see, that's what we need to put in. Where are those people?
The idea that Brian is talking about is not lost on me, because I had and in the back of my mind regarding Black people being the side chick to the Democratic Party. Ooh. They're not willing to be seen in public with us. They ain't willing to hold our hand. And like, I understand where he's coming from, because for me, yeah, I want to be kissed in the mouth, in public with everybody looking, and for you to proclaim that this is for you, that's what I want. But we ain't at that point in our history. We don't have the society that we want yet, and we can't make decisions based off of the society we hope to have in the future. We just ain't there yet. I mean, we just ain't there yet. That is just the reality.
in order for us to get there, like how do we get there? And that's the question I've been asking all night. Do we create our own? We talked about breaking away, and when people talk about defunding government, defunding like all of those different conversations, we can have the conversations. We have a gigantic ask that I think we definitely deserve, but the bigger question is, how do we get it?
It could
How
it,
do we
it
get it?
could start with having uh, a vice president with HBCU energy in the White House.
Hey, okay. All
It
right.
could.
So
I don't know. Maybe it
it
does
very
nothing.
well
But
could.
I mean, what Pence doing?
Who knows? I don't know. Okay, so yeah, there we go. All right, guys, you have listened to 2 great hours of the Abby Award-winning Vital Show. You've first hour talked to Senator Doug Jones. You talked to Officer Jackson. You've heard from 205 Ice, who came out to help us celebrate the life of our friend DJ Twist T. Over here at V94.9, became known as T Carson, the neighborhood, or in his neighborhood. He was the neighbor T Carson. Awesome, awesome guy. Um, I want you guys to continue to be vital. Pay attention to what's happening in the news. Continue to watch and listen to Vital. Go ahead and text vote to 30 330 30330. Do that. Watch us during the week. Tell people about the show. This is a platform that's here for us. It's for you. So if you have something that's going on, you have an opinion that's vital, let me know. Brian Eileen, I appreciate you on the live, but maybe you should come in sometimes and chat with us. Join the conversation. Inbox me if you're interested. Anybody else that feels the same way, let me know. There's room for you. After the election, we'll hear from more of our crew members who have been out handling business. Hopefully, we'll hear some great things. We're going to continue to support them. Watch our page this week for that. It's been real. You all enjoy your week that's coming, and don't be sidetracked by all the extra stuff. Stay vital. Oh, sorry. Speaking to the mic because they can't hear you. Oh. Hey, can you guys hear me? You can? Oh, great. Could you hear me before? Sorry. Awesome show tonight. If you're interested in being a part of these conversations, the opportunity actually presents itself now more than ever. So be sure to inbox me. You can inbox me directly, or you can send it to Vital Show. And I would say inbox me directly so we can get it sooner, or even send it to Sid. Let us know who you are and what you're interested in talking about. Brian, I see your points, and I would love to chat with you just to kind of get more. We like conversation and solution based as opposed to just like throwing stuff out there. So if you got some solutions, come on, let's talk about it. Everybody else, continue to support. Share this video. Especially the first hour. Share it, share it, share it. And we'll talk to you guys next Sunday.